Chapter 051. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The solar divine body, combined with the heaven-defying Xianyang art, was a combo the world had never seen. With the solar divine body, I'm a shoo-in for Holy Sun in the upcoming selection. Chuan thought, brimming with anticipation. He couldn't wait to crush the other disciples and claim the title of Holy Son of the Holy Land. Congrats on your breakthrough, Chuan. Ning Yusi approached, offering her congratulations. The aura of the solar divine body still radiated from him. As she drew near, she felt an inexplicable pull towards him, a feeling she couldn't quite place, but it only deepened her affection. Their constitutions were the reason, her lunar divine body and his solar divine body, yin and yang perfectly balanced. This harmony created the attraction, and the potential for unforeseen changes. But neither of them realized this yet. Chuan, appreciating her sincere blessing, smiled. I owe it all to you, Yusi. Without you bringing me to this Taiyin sect site, I never would have found such an incredible opportunity. Nonsense, you earned it. Ning Yusi replied, then winked, a playful curve in her eyebrows. Hey, why don't you just call me Yusi? Miss Ning sounds so formal. If you insist. Chuan grinned. But then you have to drop the young master Su thing and just call me Chuan. He didn't dwell on the change in address. He could see the bond between them growing. Let's bounce, Chuan said. We got what we came for, time to head back. He'd been out long enough and needed to return to the Holy Land to prepare for his breakthrough to the divine realm. Their journey back was smooth. They soon found themselves back at the stone tower, standing beside Chuan. Ning Yusi asked, so, what's next for you, Chuan? Time to head back to the Holy Land. I've made some serious gains, I need to go into seclusion and get everything settled. He turned to her, what about you, Yusi? I'm going back too, but I'll be going straight into seclusion to get ready for the 5 regions competition. A touch of reluctance crossed her face. Then, as if struck by an idea, she pulled out a golden token from her storage ring, engraved with the character Ning, and handed it to him. Let me let you in on a little secret before I go. I'm actually Ning Yusi, the eldest princess of the Wei dynasty. She said playfully, bet you didn't see that coming. This is my identity token. Take it with you, and if you're ever in the imperial city, I'll know, and I'll come find you. That even though Chuan already knew, he played along with a surprised expression. He accepted the token with a solemn nod. He knew what it meant when a girl gave a guy her identity token. Focus on your training. I'll come visit when I get the chance. Chuan promised with a smile. You got it. She said excitedly. Absolutely. I'm a man of my word, Chuan replied, grinning. Besides, I haven't been to the Wei dynasty capital. I'd be lost without you to show me around. No problem. I'll treat you to the best hot pot in the city. Ning Yusi declared, puffing out her chest with enthusiasm. They smiled at each other, said their goodbyes, and parted ways. 3 days later, Chuan finally returned to the Holy Land, traveling alone. He made use of the teleportation arrays in various cities. He breathed a sigh of relief as he stepped back onto Holy Land soil. As great as the outside world was, nothing felt as safe as being home. This trip had been fraught with danger. If not for the talismans and elixirs his master had given him, he might never have made it back. This incident reinforced the importance of preparation and having an escape route. The first thing Chuan did upon returning to Xianyang Peak was to report to his master. Chuan arrived at the main hall. Master, are you meditating? Situ Lin's voice echoed from within. Come in. Chuan entered and found Situ Lin in the same meditative posture he'd held for decades. At his stage in life, there was no point in mere hard work. Only by understanding the complete laws of heaven and earth could he take another step forward into the heavenly king realm. Chuan bowed and said respectfully, disciple greets master. Situ Lin smiled. So, did you make any progress on your trip? Why were all the life-saving talismans I gave you activated? Su Chuan grinned sheepishly. There was a bit of trouble along the way, but the rewards were huge. Allow me to show you, Master. Su Chuan revealed the newly formed solar divine body and his rapid advancements in martial arts. This is, Situ Lin was taken aback, then overjoyed. Excellent, excellent. My good disciple. I never imagined that you would not only improve your cultivation by leaps and bounds, but also develop the solar divine body. I knew I saw something in you. As the peak master of Xinjiang Peak, a Tongtian realm cultivator at his peak, Situ Lin was a man of vast knowledge. He immediately recognized Su Chuan's physique as the legendary solar divine body. The last recorded owner of the solar divine body was Emperor Haori 8,000 years ago. Emperor Haori rose from humble beginnings to defeat all the world's geniuses and become a powerful emperor. The solar divine body played a major role in Emperor Haori's success, and now, his own disciple had developed such a powerful physique. How could he not be thrilled? Master, I'm going to return to my cave to focus and stabilize my cultivation, Su Chuan said. Go. Situ Lin replied, adjusting his emotions with a smile. This disciple was a constant source of surprises. He had previously heard news that Su Chuan had condensed the true soul seeds of the Tao of Swords. This made him feel that True Yang Peak had a successor. He never thought Su Chuan would bring back such a great surprise. Situ Lin gazed at Su Chuan with increasing fondness. Just as Su Chuan was about to leave the hall, Situ Lin stopped him again. Oh, right, you used up that talisman, didn't you? Here, take another one, use it wisely. The same talisman floated into Su Chuan's hands. He carefully placed it in his storage ring. It could save his life in a pinch. Then, disciple will take his leave. Go on, and don't seclude yourself for too long. I'll need you to do something soon. Situ Lin said. Su Chuan left the hall. Once Su Chuan was out of sight, Situ Lin took a deep breath. My disciple is extraordinary. I have to talk to the Holy Master and push for him to become the Holy Son. With that, he soared into the sky, heading towards the main peak of the Holy Land. Chapter 052. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Back in his cave, Su Chuan settled into a meditative position on his bed, ready to assess his gains. He pulled out one storage device after another from his ring, eager to tally up everything he'd acquired. First up was the storage ring from the Chen family's powerhouse. Breaking the restrictions on the ring, now that its owner was dead, proved easy enough. He plunged his consciousness into it and found a treasure trove: spirit stones, magical artifacts, elixirs, talismans, and jade scrolls. The sheer volume of it all stunned him. He realized that if the Chen family ancestor hadn't underestimated him, this stash alone would have been enough to ensure his demise, but now, it was all his. Tucked away in a corner, he also spotted the 1,000-year-old blood ginseng tree the Yang family had gifted. Holding it, Su Chuan felt a surge of satisfaction. Another massive deposit of spirit stones was now added to his account. Next, he retrieved the soul jade scroll from the ring. A martial arts technique treasured by a powerhouse must be extraordinary. He pressed the scroll to his forehead, connecting with it through his spiritual consciousness. Xiao Yen. Su Chuan recoiled in disgust, tossing the scroll aside. Turns out the Chen family ancestor was a dirty old man. The scroll contained a record of a technique called Yin Yang Huan Dafa, which was essentially a dark magic. When a man practiced this technique and used it during intimate moments with a woman, he could drain her completely, killing her in the process. The Chen family ancestor had reached his level of power entirely due to this twisted skill. Otherwise, with his limited talent, reaching even the transformation realm would have been a stroke of luck, let alone the powerhouse realm. His vast family holdings in Linan County served one purpose: to find suitable victims for his practice. But his talent was too limited. After reaching the powerhouse realm, no matter how many women he drained, he couldn't advance any further, especially as death neared. That explained his excitement at receiving the spiritual crystal from the Chen family, and his frantic pursuit of Su Chuan after it was stolen. It was only after realizing the technique's true nature that Su Chuan felt such revulsion. He then turned to sorting through the rest of his acquisitions. This trip had yielded a mixed bag of spirit stones, totaling 658,000, adding in the spiritual herbs from the small world, his total harvest exceeded 1 million spirit stones. That was serious money. Even though they were all low-grade, they were enough to sustain Su Chuan for a long time, whether for cultivation or purchases. He carefully divided the spirit stones into separate storage bags and secured them in his storage ring. He organized the other artifacts, elixirs, and herbs, stowing them away one by one. Looking at the brimming storage bags, Su Chuan beamed with satisfaction. This is the foundation for my cultivation, the cornerstone of my path to supreme power. He sighed contentedly. He had never possessed such an abundance of resources in his life. As an outer disciple, he couldn't have even dreamed of such extravagance. Now, it was merely the reward for a single outing. Clearly, strength was everything. Of course, the biggest gain was the complete transformation of the killing god's sword into a heavenly weapon. He knew the sword was special, but he never anticipated it would reach that level. Then there was the deceiving jade talisman. While not perfect, its power was undeniable. Its ability to bypass restrictions alone was enough to impress Su Chuan. The fact that it could conceal his presence and even deceive the gods made it invaluable. It was as if it had been custom-made for him. Since he preferred not to steal opportunities from others, this talisman would greatly improve his success rate, and, of course, he had gained the favor of Ning Yusi, the daughter of destiny, obtaining the origin of the sun and transforming his body into the holy body of the sun. With his inventory sorted, Su Chuan began a period of seclusion to stabilize his realm. 5 days later, he received a message from his master, summoning him to the main peak of the Holy Land. Returning to Tai Peak, the main peak of the Holy Land, filled Su Chuan with a sense of awe. Su Zhenjuan, the Holy Master and the other peak leaders have been waiting. Please, come in. An inner elder greeted him at the hall's entrance. Su Chuan nodded and stepped inside. The Holy Lord and the peak leader stared at him with intense focus. Disciple Su Chuan greets the Holy Master and all the peak leaders. Faced with their scrutiny, Su Chuan bowed respectfully. The Holy Master nodded and said, Su Chuan, we've summoned you here for 2 reasons. First, your master informed us that you manifested the holy body of the sun, and we've asked you to display it for the peak leaders. Second, we must discuss the position of Holy Son of Tai Holy Land. We haven't had a Holy Son for many years, and with a new era approaching, it's time to select one to lead the younger generation forward. Su Chuan's heart quickened, sensing the direction of the conversation. He released the full power of his holy body. Ah! A sharp cry echoed as a radiant sun erupted from Su Chuan's body, with a 3-legged golden crow singing within it. The room filled with immense power. Everyone present stared in disbelief. Amazing! A true champion has emerged from our Tai Holy Land. The Holy Master, visibly excited, abandoned his usual solemn demeanor. Su Chuan, are you willing to compete for the position of Holy Son of Tai Holy Land? The Holy Master asked, a smile on his face. The others seemed to have anticipated this, showing no surprise. Situ Lin's earlier announcement had already sparked lengthy discussions. This was the decision they had reached together. If Su Chuan truly possessed the Sun Saint's power, he would be included in the ranks of potential Holy Sons. As the public face of Tai Holy Land, the Holy Son would represent the entire organization in all endeavors. Becoming the Holy Son would mean access to the Holy Land's full resources. The implications were clear. The Holy Son would be chosen from a pool of potential candidates. These candidates would be the greatest geniuses in Tai Holy Land. Now, Su Chuan only needed to agree to join them. Did he even want to compete? They waited silently for his response. I am willing. Looking into their eyes, Su Chuan accepted without hesitation. It was a joke. His goal in returning to the Holy Land was to become the Holy Son. He couldn't possibly refuse this opportunity. Ever since he acquired the system, his aim was to become the strongest person in the world. Becoming the Holy Son was just the beginning. If he couldn't achieve this, how could he hope to reach the top? Excellent. From today onward, you will be considered a potential Holy Son. However, your current level is too low to reveal this news. You would become an easy target. Wait until you reach the Nirvana state before announcing your status. At that time, you will face many challenges. I hope you can overcome them. The Holy Master nodded. Pleased with Su Chuan's decision, a sun saint without ambition was nothing more than trash, he might as well go back to farming. Chapter 053. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Heading to the power transfer tower, eyes in the dark. So, all the sects in the eastern region are holding a Tao discussion conference soon. The top 5 will represent us in the 5 regions competition next year. You and the inner circle disciples will be participating. The Holy Lord said with a smile, he added, this conference determines who gets a spot in the 5 realms competition, so every sect will send their best. I expect you to train hard and secure a spot for us. Don't let the Holy Land look bad. I understand, Holy Lord. Su Chuan said, bowing. Excellent. That's all, you're dismissed. The Holy Lord waved his hand, and Su Chuan was instantly back in his cave on Jinyang Peak. Standing there, Su Chuan was lost in thought. He had never felt the Holy Lord's power so directly before. It was immense. Remembering what he'd heard about the Heavenly King realm, Su Chuan yearned for it. Then, a wave of determination washed over him. One day, I'll be that strong. And the Heavenly King realm isn't the end. My goal is the Emperor realm. After some self-motivation, Su Chuan decided to stop his closed-door training for now. He was so close to breaking through to the magical realm, but he didn't want to rush it. He needed to build a solid foundation first. The Tao discussion conference will be full of geniuses and rare martial arts techniques. But all I know are sword skills. My options are limited. If I face someone who isn't affected by my sword skills, I'll be at a serious disadvantage. I'll go to the power transfer tower and find a powerful martial art. This is the perfect time to use that token the master gave me. Su Chuan thought to himself, the Holy Spirit wanted him to do well, but he had bigger plans. If he was going to participate, he was going all in. His goal was to win the Tao discussion conference. And to win, he needed to get stronger, fast. With that, Su Chuan left Jinyang Peak and headed toward the power transfer tower. Honestly, he hadn't been there much over the years, mostly because he was broke. Su Chuan had been stuck in a nasty cycle. Being poor meant he lacked the resources to train properly. Without training, he couldn't improve. If he couldn't improve, he couldn't complete missions for the Holy Land. Without completing the missions, he couldn't get the merit points to redeem skills. Without merit points, he couldn't afford the power transfer tower. Looking back, those 8 years were a real grind. Thankfully, he was finally out of it. Now, he was on the path to becoming a powerhouse. And he would never be short on resources again. Reaching the Holy Land's core, the power transfer tower stood next to the trial tower. The trial tower was up and running again, with disciples constantly going in and out, but Su Chuan's destination was the power transfer tower. He went inside. Several disciples were browsing the exercises. When they saw Su Chuan, they greeted him warmly. After all, he was a true disciple now, with his status. They were all eager to get on his good side, hoping he might help them someday. Su Chuan knew what they were up to. He returned their greetings but didn't stick around on the first floor. The exercises there were all basic, and he wasn't interested. Pulling out his identity token, Su Chuan went to the second floor. After looking around, he still didn't find anything suitable. He wasn't worried. Unlike the other disciples, he had Situ Lin's token, so he wasn't on a time limit. He slowly made his way to the third floor. There were fewer people up there, just a few head disciples from the different peaks. Su Chuan scanned the room but didn't see any opportunities. Suddenly, the system pinged. It pointed to a head disciple in the corner. Without the system's alert, he wouldn't have even noticed him. Name, Tian. Realm, 3rd level of Divine Power Realm. Talent, all eyes on you. Fate, Mastery of Boxing, Purple, Qilan Arm, Red. Life Script, Ordinary Genius Script. Life Path, joined Tai Holy Land at 5 years old, showed talent at 8, broke through to the 9th level of the Body Tempering Realm at 13, became an inner disciple at 14, and became the chief disciple at 18. However, because of the wrong martial arts, he was trapped as the chief disciple for many years. At the age of 30, he became the chief disciple. List the true biography, then practice hard, and finally break through the realm of reincarnation. Opportunity, Today I discovered the first level of the Emperor-level boxing technique, Haori Divine Fist, in the corner of the third level of the Power Transfer Tower. After being refined, my strength will be greatly increased. Mastery of boxing. By practicing boxing, you can quickly reach the level of mastery, and then draw inferences from one example to understand stronger boxing. Kailan arm. One arm is born with a powerful energy, which will explode once a punch is punched. An Emperor-level boxing technique? Su Chuan's eyes widened. Talk about luck. He'd been hoping for any decent boxing or kicking technique, and now, an Emperor-level technique practically fell into his lap. How's Son Divine Fist? The name alone sounded perfect for his son's sacred body. That opportunity is mine, Su Chuan thought to himself. He felt a pang of guilt for that head disciple, but what was he going to do? Meanwhile, in Tai City, a figure snuck into Wanbao Tower. They were bundled up, hoping no one would recognize them. The book says there's a copy of the heavenly level remnant technique in the Wanbao Tower Chamber of Commerce. I have to get it, the person mumbled, waving off the maids and heading to the technique section alone, but they searched high and low and couldn't find it. Is this book a fraud? They frowned, pulled out a book from inside their coat, and reread it carefully. The person's name was Chu Fan, and they were a handyman disciple at the Tai Holy Land. Unlike most demoted handyman disciples, both of Chu Fan's parents had been handymen. They had naturally inherited their father's legacy and were born as a handyman disciple, but although they were a handyman, they had a burning desire to become stronger. Sadly, ideals were a cruel mistress. They had no talent and no resources. How could they possibly become stronger? Then, not long ago, they came across a book detailing hidden opportunities in the world. At first, they didn't believe it, but after finding several small opportunities listed in the book, they became convinced. Today, they had finally saved up enough yuanshi and were ready to seize a big opportunity described in the book, but when they got to Wanbao Tower, they came up empty-handed. They started to question the book's accuracy. Did someone beat me to it? That they realized what that meant, and their face turned ashen. They had long considered the opportunities in the book to be theirs alone and would never let anyone else get involved. Chapter 054. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Haori Divine Fist, Sword Sect Successor. Regretfully, Chu Fan left, heading to the next spot he hoped would bring him opportunity. He vowed no one would beat him there this time. Anyone who tried to steal what was rightfully his would face his wrath. With his growing power, Chu Fan's ego inflated right along with it. Meanwhile, Su Chuan was oblivious to all of this. He was focused on the training grounds, eager to see which martial skill Tian Yi would choose. An hour later, Tian Yi, a senior disciple, placed the secret manual he'd been reading back on the shelf and ascended to the third floor, home to some of the most potent martial arts techniques. Each one was a top-tier magical art, a prized possession of the Holy Land. Mastering them would grant incredible power. However, concerned about disciples getting ahead of themselves, these advanced techniques were incomplete. To acquire the full versions, one needed to climb to the higher levels of the transfer tower, and the only way to climb higher was to dedicate oneself to rigorous cultivation. This system ensured constant effort and progress. The Holy Land had clearly put a lot of thought into the tower's design. Su Chuan watched as Tian Yi grabbed a martial art and started to open it. Now was his chance. Excuse me, senior brother, would you mind if I borrowed that technique for a moment? Su Chuan's voice startled Tian Yi. He looked up, recognized Su Chuan, and quickly recovered. Smiling, he handed the manual over, saying, "Of course, Su Zhen, it's no problem." His smile was a mix of flattery, envy, and expectation. Although Tian Yi was a higher-level cultivator than Su Chuan, he didn't have the status of a true disciple. So, he made it a point to try to please everyone he met, and Su Chuan was no exception. Becoming a true disciple was his lifelong ambition, but the odds were slim. "Thank you, senior brother. Seeing you, senior brother, I can tell you have a natural talent for boxing. If you feel stuck in your cultivation, perhaps you should explore that path." Su Chuan offered casually, hoping to give him a push in the right direction. Whether Tian Yi took his advice was his own decision. Tian Yi was taken aback. He specialized in swordsmanship and had been stuck in a rut for a while, hence his visit to the tower. Su Chuan's words were like a lightning bolt, a moment of clarity. Thank you, Su Zhen. I appreciate the tip, that he was ecstatic. He hadn't expected to find the answer he sought within the tower. Su Zhen is a good guy, he thought, feeling grateful. Su Chuan, having secured the martial art, went into a private training room in the tower, ready to study the boxing technique. He opened the book and saw 4 bold characters. Heori Divine Fist. Su Chuan read the title softly. The name alone was captivating. He was sure this boxing technique was tailor-made for him. As he opened the scroll, the words transformed into golden light, coalescing into a golden figure that struck a punching stance. The figure emanated a golden aura, its stance imposing. It unleashed a punch, a surge of power that resembled the dawn of a new day, burning and forceful. Punch after punch followed, each one carrying the weight of a miniature sun, unstoppable and impenetrable, within a 10-foot radius. The punches moved with lightning speed, creating a field of boxing, but that was not the end. The figure's fist energy intensified, reaching its peak, and it unleashed a devastating blow that shattered even the sky itself. Su Chuan was astonished. This technique, combined with his son's sacred body, would be incredibly powerful. The sun's shadow shone brighter and brighter, and the figure, bathed in light, unleashed its final punch. Boom! With that final blow, the sun died out, plunging the world into darkness and extinguishing all life. Everything vanished, returning to the void. What an incredible boxing scripture. Su Chuan was stunned, completely absorbed by the technique. After what seemed like forever, the book closed, and the image vanished. Su Chuan finally snapped back to reality. Through the inheritance, he now knew the basics of this art. The Heori Divine Fist was a genuine imperial art. It had been created by Emperor Heori, a powerful figure in the Emperor realm 8,000 years ago. Emperor Heori also possessed the holy body of the sun. He had developed this technique based on his own sun body, that explained its inexplicable attraction to Su Chuan. The complete Heori Divine Fist was a genuine heaven-level martial skill. What Su Chuan held was just the entry-level form. Red Sun patrols the sky. The subsequent forms were located on the higher levels of the transfer tower, but even with just one form, this boxing scripture was a respectable earth-level intermediate martial skill. Learning the origins of the art only solidified Su Chuan's decision. This was the technique he'd been searching for. It's so powerful. I love it. Without hesitation, Su Chuan began practicing. He closed his eyes, and the figure reappeared in his mind. He began to practice the first form of the Heori Divine Fist repeatedly. The first form emphasized momentum, channeling the energy and blood of the holy body into a single, unstoppable punch to obliterate the enemy. Mimicking the figure, Su Chuan began his practice. Instantly, the vitality of heaven and earth surged towards him. Su Chuan punched, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Searching for the essence of the red sun patrols the sky, the surrounding vitality constantly replenished his strength. 1 punch, 2 punches, 3 punches. Red sun patrols the sky. After hundreds of punches, Su Chuan finally roared. He had mastered the technique. A tremendous force erupted from his body, carrying red flames. It was like a volcano erupting, like the sun appearing to patrol the world, sweeping everything away. Had it not been for the protective formation, the walls of the training room would have surely crumbled. Even still, the noise Su Chuan made attracted attention. On the top floor of the tower, an old man with white hair sat cross-legged, eyes closed. Su Chuan's punch made him open them. Well, after thousands of years, someone has finally mastered this boxing technique again. Interesting. He spoke with interest and then closed his eyes again. The top of the tower was once again silent. In the training room, Su Chuan controlled his breath. The first form of the Heori Divine Fist is mastered. He exhaled, straightened his clothes, and walked out. He returned the scroll to its place. Amidst the admiring gazes of the other disciples, he left the tower. He wasn't afraid of anyone else learning the technique. It was incredibly difficult, and most wouldn't even know where to begin. Forced practice would only lead to madness. He headed toward his cave on Jinyang Peak. He needed to rest. The physical exhaustion was minimal, but the mental strain had been significant. This was, after all, an imperial scripture, filled with profound knowledge. Meanwhile, 2 uninvited guests arrived outside the Tai Holy Land, a middle-aged man with sinister eyebrows and a young man in green clothes with a long sword slung across his back. The middle-aged man produced a sheet of paper and tossed it into the air. It expanded rapidly, blocking the entrance to the Holy Land. 2 words were written on the paper, * greetings, star. Luo Yunsheng, of the Yaoshan sword sect, and his disciple Gong Lin, have come to pay a visit. Chapter 055. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Provocation, debate, and showdown. Luo Yunsheng. What's he doing here? The peak masters in Taiyafeng Hall exchanged worried glances at the sound of that name, Luo Yunsheng. The Grand Elder of Yaoshan sword sect, his swordsmanship was legendary. Back in his youth, he honed his skills by challenging various sects across the Holy Land, and he never lost a single match. He was the undisputed genius of his time, and many of these very peak masters had fallen before his blade. No wonder his name made them uneasy. Yaoshan sword sect sending Luo Yunsheng here out of the blue. Something's up. Maybe he's here for the Tao discussion conference next year. And he brought his disciples. I bet this isn't just a friendly visit. What are you so worried about? Are we, the most respected Holy Land in the eastern region, going to back down from him? True. We'll deal with it. The peak masters were buzzing with speculation. Then, Holy Lord-I opened his eyes, cutting through the noise. Enough. Wuya, escort them to the reception hall. Peak masters, follow me, we'll greet our guests. Understood. Su Chuan recognized him. It was Nia Wuya, master of Qinyang Peak, acknowledging the order before hurrying out. * rumble, star. Outside the mountain gate, the air shimmered, and Nia Wuya appeared. With a flick of his wrist, a greeting card burst into flames. Who have we got here? If it isn't you, old man Luo. What brings you to Tai Holy Land? Thought you'd be enjoying the good life back at Yaoshan sword sect. Nia Wuya had been on the losing end of a duel with Luo Yunsheng back in the day. There was no love lost between them. Seeing who it was, Luo Yunsheng smirked. Nia Wuya, still stuck at the 7th level of Tong Tian after all these years. You're slipping. I'm practically a heavenly king now. Nia Wuya's face darkened. That stung. Losing to Luo Yunsheng had always bothered him. After hitting the 7th level of Tong Tian, his progress had stalled. Save the trash talk. Nia Wuya snapped, wanting to end the conversation. He swore to himself he would go straight into seclusion after this and wouldn't come out until he had reached the 8th level of Tong Tian. Follow me. The Holy Lord is waiting in the main hall. He led them to the reception hall on Qinyang Peak. Holy Lord-I and the other peak masters were already waiting. Luo Yunsheng ushered his disciples into the hall and bowed to Holy Lord-I. Luo Yunsheng greets Holy Lord-I. Holy Lord-I nodded. Friend Luo, no need for formalities. What brings you here today? Luo Yunsheng gave a slight bow. I'm here on behalf of my sect, invited by the Holy Lord of Huangsha, to inform the sects in the eastern region of the upcoming Tao discussion conference. Huangsha Holy Land is hosting the conference, and it will be held in the heart of the Huangsha region. I trust Holy Lord-I will mark the date. Also, just as everyone thought he was done, Luo Yunsheng spoke again. I heard Tai Holy Land recently accepted a fire spirit named Yang Sheng as a true disciple. I brought my own newest disciple along so he could have a learning opportunity and exchange some pointers with the Holy Land's talented disciple and broaden his horizons. The peak masters exchanged knowing looks. So that's what this was about. They looked towards Gong Lin, standing behind Luo Yunsheng. They were curious about the kind of disciple who was cultivated to be sent here. It didn't take long before their faces fell. Even with their cultivation levels, it was clear that the person was already at the 5th level of the supernatural power realm, with a natural sword bone and the ability to wield the sword like it was an extension of their own limb. Someone like that, even with a low cultivation level, would prove difficult for anyone. How was Yang Sheng going to stand a chance? This was a clear attempt to embarrass Tai Holy Land. Otherwise, why single out Yang Sheng? Holy Lord-I smiled thinly. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. Yang Sheng is currently in seclusion. He won't be available. Besides, he's only at the 5th level of the mortal realm. He couldn't possibly compete with the 5th level of supernatural powers. He wasn't about to let this obvious provocation slide. In recent years, Yao Shan's sword sect had been churning out geniuses left and right, boosting their reputation in the eastern region and even threatening to overtake Tai Holy Land. The top fighters from both sects were evenly matched, so the leader of Yao Shan's sword sect had a bigger plan: take Tai Holy Land's spot as the top power in the eastern region. Luo Yunqing's friendly visit was probably a test. That's fine. We can wait. And I'll have Gong Lin suppress his cultivation to match Yangsheng's. We wouldn't want to bully anyone. Rest assured, Holy Lord. Luo Yunqing shook his head, unconcerned. The goal is to train him, get him ready for the Tao discussion conference next year. Surely Tai Holy Land, being the top power in the eastern region, wouldn't shy away from a little sparring, would it? Luo Yunqing said it lightly, but the implication was clear. If you're too scared to let one of your disciples take on my disciple, maybe you don't deserve to be number one. Holy Lord Tai frowned, starting to get annoyed. This Luo Yunqing was pushing his luck, but, for the reputation of Tai Holy Land, he sent a message to the master of Xiang Peak: send someone to get Yangsheng. Tell him to take his time. Let them wait. Holy Lord, Yangsheng hasn't been here long. I'm afraid. The master of Xiang Peak hesitated, worried that Yangsheng would lose. That's enough. It is decided. The Holy Lord waved his hand dismissively. Yes, the master of Xiang Peak hurried off. Holy Lord Tai looked at Luo Yunqing. Please be patient. I've sent word to Yangsheng. Well, while we're waiting for the Holy Land's fire spirit body, how about having some of your other disciples compete? Maybe a couple of rounds. Luo Yunqing pressed on. Holy Lord Tai's frown deepened. Luo Yunqing was getting more aggressive. One of the peak masters leaned in with an idea. Holy Lord, why don't we agree? Let the other inner disciples wear him down a little, give Yangsheng a better chance. After considering it, he agreed. That was doable. He nodded. All right. Any disciple from any peak who's feeling confident is welcome to step forward. As soon as he said that, the crowd outside the hall began to buzz. A tall, muscular inner disciple, a broad-bladed sword slung across his back, pushed through the crowd and entered the hall. He was at the first level of the magical power realm. He glared at Gong Lin and said coldly, Qin Cheng, a disciple of Liang Peak, is here to challenge you. First level of the magical power realm, huh? Bring it on. Gong Lin glanced at Qin Cheng dismissively, speaking as he suppressed his own cultivation to the first level of the magical power realm. He didn't see Qin Cheng as a threat. To him, Qin Cheng was too ordinary and lacked a fighting spirit. Chapter 056. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are these inner circle guys always such pushovers? Draw your sword. Don't say I'm picking on you. Qin Cheng had a short fuse. He stormed forward, pulled out his massive sword, looked like a freaking door panel, pointed it at Gong Lin, and challenged him, but Gong Lin didn't budge. He didn't even reach for his sword, let alone get into a defensive stance. You think you're worthy of seeing me draw my sword? Gong Lin sneered, dripping with disdain. If you're begging for a beatdown, don't come crying to me. Hearing that, Qin Cheng went ballistic and swung his sword at Gong Lin with both hands. This Gong Lin was way too cocky. Sword cleaves mountains and rivers. Qin Cheng bellowed, and Gong Lin was instantly caught in a whirlwind of ferocious swordplay. As an inner disciple of Liang Peak, he had a ton of Yuan energy, and combined with his sword skills, he could punch way above his weight, fighting at level 2 even though he was only at level 1 of the magical power realm. But Gong Lin didn't even blink at this supposedly unstoppable attack. He casually reached out with 2 fingers and snagged the giant sword. Right out of the air, Qin Cheng was stuck. Then, Gong Lin balled his left hand into a fist, took a step forward, and hammered Qin Cheng in the gut. Boom. A massive thud echoed as Qin Cheng coughed up blood and went flying backward. The giant sword clattered to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. One punch knockout. Didn't even need a follow-up. That one punch sent Qin Cheng straight to dreamland. So weak. Gong Lin waved his hand, giving Qin Cheng a scornful glance as he lay sprawled on the ground. This kind of lame power didn't even interest him. he'd thought the number one force in the eastern region would be a bit tougher, but these inner disciples were just pathetic. He'd been holding back, thinking he might need a couple of moves. Now it looked like he could have taken this guy out with a single punch if he hadn't been careful. You call yourselves inner disciples? What a joke. Next, Gong Lin stood there, watching Qin Cheng being dragged off, and sneered. This guy's way too arrogant. Someone needs to go in there and teach him a lesson. Enough's enough. We gotta show him what's what. Make way. Make way. A senior brother from Hangyang Peaks here. Seeing Qin Cheng getting trashed and Gong Lin still running his mouth, the disciples outside the hall were worked up and itching to tear him apart, but rules were rules, only one person at a time. So they held back, fuming. Finally, a disciple at the fourth level of the supernatural power realm pushed through the crowd, having heard the commotion. Zhao Tuo from Hangyang Peak, here to test your skills. Zhao Tuo yelled and charged at Gong Lin, throwing punches. He wasn't a swordsman, so he didn't have a sword. He relied on his fists and feet. Being at the fourth level of magical power was pretty high up among these inner disciples, and he wasn't some chump like Qin Cheng who'd just gotten lucky in the magical realm. He'd actually unlocked the supernatural powers he was born with. Fists conquer mountains and rivers. That was his innate supernatural power. He poured all his energy into his fists, boosting their power and speed. This punch was meant to kill in one shot. Supposedly, it could shatter mountains and rivers, but the second they clashed, Zhao Tuo realized why Qin Cheng had gone down so fast. This Gong Lin had reached another level of swordplay. Even though he wasn't drawing his sword, his moves were totally infused with it. His fists and feet were swords, and even the grass and trees were weapons. Even disciples at the fourth level of the supernatural power realm were no match for him. After only 2 moves, Zhao Tuo got a fist to the head. His eyes rolled back, and he was hauled off. That all you got? Seriously? Anyone else? If not, get someone from the 5th level of the magical realm or higher, or just come at me all at once. Don't waste my time. Gong Lin said casually. In his eyes, the inner disciples of Tai Holy Land were nothing but weaklings. He didn't even bother drawing his sword. The faces of the inner disciples were now dark with humiliation. This was beyond embarrassing. Anyone who got into the inner circle of the Holy Land was considered a genius, if not a prodigy. They'd never been so humiliated before. But the peak masters and leaders of Tai Holy Land seemed pretty calm. These were just inner disciples. The real talent of Tai Holy Land was in the chief disciples and the true disciples above them. Only those guys could show what Tai Holy Land was really made of. Finally, a chief disciple squeezed through the crowd and came to the hall. I'll take him on. This was Qian Wuhui, the chief disciple of Qingyang Peak, who was at the 5th level of the magical realm. He was on par with Gong Lin in terms of cultivation. He took a deep breath, getting ready. He felt the pressure. This was a crucial battle, and he was the first chief disciple to step up. Qian Wuhui of Qingyang Peak, I'd like to request a match, Brother Gong. Qian Wuhui said seriously. He slowly started building up his energy, and the air around him sounded like crashing waves. That was his innate magical power, the blue sea domain. In this field, the enemy's movements were hampered by the waves, and he could use the waves to recover energy and boost his attacks. He was also a master of a mysterious sword technique called Bihai sword technique. It wasn't just adding 1 + 1, combining the two was supposed to create something really powerful. Oh. Finally, someone who might be interesting. Gong Lin raised his eyebrows, a little excited, then he stopped holding back and released his cultivation, returning to the 5th level of the magical power realm. Alright, let's see what the chief disciple of Tai Holy Land can do. He nodded, signaling Qian Wuhui to go ahead. Blue Sea Sword Technique, first form, ebb and flow of the tide. Qian Wuhui roared, then leaped into the air with his sword. His whole body seemed to transform into a wave, swirling within the blue sea domain. Then he slashed out with his sword, creating a blade of light that stretched out several feet and hurtled towards Gong Lin. Gong Lin didn't panic. He actually looked excited. Now we're talking. In the next moment, he pushed off the ground, shooting forward and straight into the blade of light. As he got closer, he turned his arm into a sword and struck down with a palm. The blade of light shattered instantly. What? Xian Wuhui was stunned. He hadn't expected Gong Lin to just take his sword head-on, bare-handed. He figured Gong Lin would either dodge it or draw his own sword to block. Never in a million years would he have expected Gong Lin to crush the blade of light with his bare hands. That was impossible. He quickly backed away, putting some distance between himself and Gong Lin. Then, without hesitating, he unleashed the Blue Sea domain in full force. Blue Sea sword technique, Blue Sea tide. Gritting his teeth, Xian Wuhui unleashed the most powerful killing move of the Bai-Hai sword technique. He knew that if he didn't give it everything he had, he wouldn't stand a chance. Boom. Giant waves crashed around in the Blue Sea domain, restricting Gong Lin's movements. The Blue Sea tide unleashed wave after wave of sword light, each layer more powerful than the last, but Gong Lin just shook his head, looking disappointed. That's it. So weak, so weak. How disappointing. In that case, let's end this. Zheng. Gong Lin drew his long sword with a deafening roar, then, with one swing, he sliced through the incoming wave, splitting it in two. Puff. Xian Wuhui coughed up a mouthful of blood and went flying backward. Gong Lin's sword pressed against his throat. One more inch, and he'd be dead. He had lost, a crushing defeat. Chapter 057. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yang Xing's down. If he can't hack it, who can? He's too strong. Seriously terrifying. Feels like only the top disciples can even stand a chance at the same level. Gong Lin's off his rocker, but the dude's got power. Hopefully, Yang, with his true inheritance, can knock him down a peg. That the disciples outside the main hall weren't exactly lining up for more. I mean, did they even see the chief disciple get stomped? At their level, stepping up would just be straight up embarrassing. Gong Lin just stood there, all alone. He had the entire inner circle and star disciples of Tai Holy Land beat. The peak masters inside the hall weren't exactly thrilled. Major shame points when their top disciple couldn't even last 10 moves. It's not like there weren't disciples around with higher cultivation, but it would be a total disgrace if someone with a major level up was to win. There were few at the same level who could mess with him. Gotta hand it to the guy, this Gong Lin is something else. Luo Yunsheng was loving every second of it. Haha, peak masters, what do you think of my disciple? He hasn't even been with our Yao Shan sword sect for a year, and his swordplay is already through the roof. As his master, I'm practically ashamed. Their faces twisted harder when they heard that. Comparisons really sting. Wasn't he saying the disciples Tai Holy Land spent years training can't hold a candle to his newbie? The facts were in their face, leaving them speechless. They all made mental notes to crack the whip on the disciples so this didn't happen again. Gong Lin in the arena was getting restless. He'd been waiting forever, and this fire spirit Yang Sheng was a no-show. Whoosh. Just then, a dude stepped out engulfed in flames. He was like a fire spirit, controlling flames like it was nothing. It's a fire spirit body specialty. A handsome young guy stood before Gong Lin. His cultivation was at the 5th level of mortal transformation. Yu Yang Sheng, the so-called inheritor of the fire spirit body. Gong Lin sized him up, raising an eyebrow. Doesn't look like much. Still at such a low level. He was disappointed. He was figuring the true inheritors would be something else, but this guy looked as wimpy as the rest. You're asking for it. Yang Sheng's face went ice cold. Ever since he got tagged as a fire spirit body and got bumped up to inheritor status, everyone treated him like gold. No one's ever talked to him like that. That ticked him off. No small talk, just straight to the action. His sword blazed across the arena, energy surging all around. Like a hurricane, the sword was ready to rip the place apart. That's more like it. Way better than those losers. Gong Lin yelled, holding his power down to the 5th level of mortal realm. Then, he went for a straight thrust. The sound of swords clashing was deafening. Clang. The sound of metal on metal rang out. They both stumbled back a few yards, cracking the floor tiles beneath them. Neither of them had gained the upper hand. Fire rain sword technique, fuel to the flame. Yang Xing missed and went straight into the next strike, giving Gong Lin zero breathing room. Boom. A wind gusted out of nowhere, making a screaming sound. Yang Sheng was now covered in flames, which blazed like crazy in the wind. Is that The fire rain sword technique. An earth-level martial skill. Yang Zhenjuan learned that at the mortal transformation realm. Seriously scary. Look at that power. He's perfected his swordplay and is about to master the complete sword power. Outside the hall, the disciples saw the power of the technique and immediately started freaking out. Go! Yang Xing swung his sword. Instantly, the energy around his sword shot toward Gong Lin like a hurricane. It was like a full-blown storm. Whoosh! Gong Lin didn't flinch at the attack. He was amped up. That's what I'm talking about. Now we're getting somewhere. Worth breaking out my sword for. The next thing anyone knew, the onlookers, who were stunned, surprised, or in disbelief, saw a blinding light burst out like the sun. The raw killing intent tore the wall of sword energy to pieces. Get lost! Gong Lin yelled, and the light bore down on Yang Sheng. Boom! The sword light was so fierce it looked like it could break the world. The watching disciples felt the untamed, overbearing power in that light. Suddenly, the entire hall went silent. Is that the sword's intention? This kid awakened the true meaning of the sword. The peak masters in the hall felt the power of the sword and looked worried. Now that he had the true meaning of swordsmanship, there was no way Yang Sheng at the 5th level of mortal transformation realm was going to win this, even if they were at the exact same level. Luo Yunqing didn't even look surprised. He was all smiles, like he already knew. Yang Sheng, facing that power, couldn't help but change his face and drew his sword to block, but the sword light mixed with true intent was too much. His sword shattered in his hands under that power. Then the sword light blasted through Yang Sheng and kept going for hundreds of feet before fading. Yang Sheng fell from the sky, puking blood, and crashed into the ground. Yang Sheng wiped the blood from his mouth and was about to get up when Li Wuji, the master of Xiang Peak, stopped him. Enough. You're no match for him. Li Wuji looked grim. If this went on, the kid could kill Yang Sheng, and that would be a disaster. Master, I can still fight, Yang Sheng said through gritted teeth. I said enough, didn't you hear me? Li Wuji said firmly. Yeah, I lost. Yang Sheng lowered his head, grinding his teeth to force the words out. He didn't want to give up. He had never lost before, let alone in front of everyone. It was too much to take, but he wasn't as good as Gong Lin. All the disciples were shaken by what they'd just seen. No one expected Yang Zhenjuan to go down so hard. That was boring. He couldn't even block one sword. Calling himself a true disciple. Fire spirit body isn't all that after all. If that's all you got, get some supernatural power level guys to join the fight. See if you can beat me. Gong Lin stood tall with his sword, acting like a maniac. Luo Yunqing laughed like he'd won the lottery. Folks, my disciple is still young, ignorant, and says some wild stuff. Don't take it to heart. That was basically slapping Tai Holy Land in the face. They were humiliated. My mood isn't so good. Inside the Xinjiang Peak Cave Mansion, Su Chuan looked back and shook his head. He had been watching the spar, including the fight between Yang Sheng and Gong Lin. Yang Sheng had strength and the blessing of the fire spirit body, but he was too confident. He had never faced a setback in his life, making his heart weak. Gong Lin was aggressive and ruthless, with no hesitation, and he had the true meaning of the sword. It was obvious that Yang Sheng was doomed. Of course, Su Chuan wouldn't step in right away. After all, they were only here to spar with Yang Sheng, but he knew he could beat Gong Lin with one hand tied behind his back. Chapter 058. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Su Chuan steps up and crushes Gong Lin. Holy Lord, what are we gonna do? Yang Sheng just got creamed. If we let him keep acting like this, Tai Holy Land will be a laughingstock. Nianwuya reached out to the Tai Holy Lord. This Gong Lin was practically a carbon copy of a young, cocky Luo Yunqing. Same arrogance, same power. Seeing him brought back memories of Nianwuya's own humiliating defeat against Luo Yunqing back in the day. Relax. Didn't Su Chuan unlock the true meaning of the sword too? Send him a message, get him over here. The Tai Holy Lord was cool as a cucumber. These recent events had highlighted some issues. The Holy Land coddled these disciples too much. They were soft when it came to real combat. He resolved to change things up, but first, they had to deal with this Gong Lin problem. Inside his cave on Jinyang Peak, Su Chuan received Nye Wuya's summons. His eyes narrowed as he thought. He wasn't thrilled with Gong Lin's arrogance either. The way he acted like nobody was worth his time. Now the Holy Lord was asking him to go and spar with Gong Lin, perfect opportunity to teach him some manners and test out the real-world fighting ability of his son's sacred body. Su Chuan straightened his robes and shot out of the cave. Boom. He turned into a streak of rainbow light and bolted toward the main hall. 1 second he was on True Yang Peak, the next, he was in the main hall. This was a new skill he'd developed with the sun's sacred body, the Golden Crow Rainbow technique. It allowed him to move at insane speeds in the form of rainbow light. Master it, and you could cross hundreds of thousands of miles in a heartbeat. With this, if he ever ran into trouble again, he wouldn't be as helpless as before. Now, he could book it miles away before anyone could land a hit. It's Su Jinzhuan. Su Jinzhuan's here. Big deal. Yang Jinzhuan got trashed, didn't he? Su Jinzhuan's been a true disciple for even less time than Yang Jinzhuan. How tough can he be? You even from Tai Holy Land? You're cutting your own team down. That the moment Su Chuan appeared in the hall, people recognized him. Disciple Su Chuan, greetings to the Holy Master and all the Peak Masters. Su Chuan bowed. You made it. I asked you to come to have a little chat with Gong Lin. Seeing Su Chuan, the Tai Holy Lord gave a slight smile. He liked Su Chuan. Even with a legendary physique like the Holy Sun body, he was still grounded, not letting it go to his head. Yes, sir. Su Chuan nodded, not surprised. He knew what he was here for. Oh, another true disciple. Maybe you'll actually give me a challenge. What's up with your Tai Holy Land? How'd you let just anybody become a true disciple? I just got to the mortal realm's 5th level, and now there's the 9th level of mortal realm. Can you be promoted to the true legend without even having the divine power realm? Gong Lin sneered. Su Chuan didn't even flinch, acting like he didn't hear a thing as he slowly walked toward Gong Lin. A breeze followed him, blowing outwards. An invisible pressure started to build around Su Chuan. Kneel down and apologize, and I might let you live. Su Chuan said calmly. Who do you think you are? Gong Lin started to snap back, but his expression suddenly turned serious. He felt a powerful, unseen pressure coming from Su Chuan, something he hadn't felt from anyone he'd fought before. Even Yangsheng, with his fire spirit body, had only mildly amused him, not even close to a threat, but he could feel the threat in the air from Su Chuan. Strong people just know. Gong Lin could tell that this guy was seriously strong. Like, terrifyingly strong. Even if he went all out at the 5th level of magical power, he didn't stand a chance. Alright, that's what I'm talking about. This is the feeling I wanted. Inner disciples, chief disciples, fire spirit bodies, they're all garbage. Faced with Su Chuan's pressure, Gong Lin didn't back down. Instead, he got a weird look in his eye. He was starting to lose it. His eyes were bloodshot, like a hungry wolf, nothing like the picture of the serene, white-robed swordsman. Come on, show me what you got. Gong Lin roared and took a heavy step forward. He shot forward like a cannonball. He swung his sword like a cleaver, aiming to smash Su Chuan. One sword parts the heavens. Boom. Terrifying power exploded from the strike. Gong Lin's hair flying around his head. He was like an unstoppable demon, unleashing everything he had. He wasn't holding back anymore. He was back to the 5th level of magical power. The void around him seemed to crack and shatter. Everyone from Tai Holy Land in the main hall watched the battle intensely. They looked worried for Su Chuan. Gong Lin's attack was no joke. None of the Peak Masters or disciples were sure they could take that hit at the same level. Gong Lin laughed like a maniac, picturing Su Chuan's death and Tai Holy Land's humiliation. He needed to wash away the threat that Su Chuan represented with his blood, but just as the sword was about to hit Su Chuan, clang, suddenly, Gong Lin felt an unimaginable force hit his sword. The force shattered his grip. His hand instantly started bleeding where he was holding the sword. The earth-shattering attack froze in mid-air, unable to move even an inch closer. What? No way. Gong Lin's eyes went wide as he saw the most unbelievable sight of his life. Su Chuan was casually holding his full-power sword attack with just 2 fingers. This isn't real. It's fake. It's all fake, Gong Lin roared in fury. He couldn't accept that Su Chuan was just casually stopping his best shot with 2 fingers, just like he'd done with Qin Cheng. Anything's possible. Su Chuan's face was calm, he wasn't even fazed. My turn. Su Chuan clenched his right fist, he was going to try out those new boxing moves, the first form of the Haori Divine Fist, Red Sun surveys the sky. His eyes flashed with divine light as he threw a fiery, dominant punch towards Gong Lin. Oof! The terrifying punch landed instantly, hitting Gong Lin square in the gut, a mouthful of hot blood sprayed out of his mouth, cracks spread across his body from the force of the punch. He instantly lost all ability to fight and collapsed. My bad, I overestimated you. I went a little too hard, Su Chuan said lightly. Hearing that, Gong Lin, lying on the ground, flew into a rage and spat out another mouthful of blood, too strong, way too strong. He had been on a winning streak, crushing everyone in his path, and he'd never met anyone this strong, especially not someone at the 9th level of mortal transformation. Even when he'd gone all out at the 5th level of the supernatural power realm, he couldn't block one punch from Su Chuan. Chapter 059. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You've got 3 breaths to get on your knees and apologize. Don't make me do something you'll regret, Su Chuan said, unfazed by Gong Lin's murderous glare. You. Gong Lin ground out, humiliated beyond belief. This guy was even crazier than him. 1. 2. Su Chuan began counting down right in front of Gong Lin, showing him no mercy. Seeing that his master wasn't going to step in, Gong Lin felt a pang of despair, *thump, Gong Lin knelt before Su Chuan. I'm sorry. I was arrogant. I shouldn't have insulted Tai Holy Land. Luo Yunsheng, who'd been all smiles earlier, couldn't contain his anger at seeing his disciple forced to kneel and apologize. But with so many Tai Holy Land members present, he couldn't, and wouldn't dare to, do anything. He just had to swallow his pride. Inside the main hall, the Tai Holy Land powerhouses beamed, seeing Su Chuan's easy victory over Gong Lin. Especially after witnessing Su Chuan's strength, their smiles widened. Even Holy Master Tai chuckled, my apologies, fellow Taoist Luo. Su Chuan, our true disciple, is a bit too headstrong. He shouldn't have demanded your disciple kneel. Luo Yunsheng was speechless, finding himself on the receiving end of a taste of his own medicine. There was a time he'd said similar things to the Tai Holy Land masters. He never expected karma to come so swiftly, leaving him utterly humiliated. Holy Master, now that the discussion is over, I'll take my leave with my disciple. He couldn't bear to stay another moment, not after his earlier arrogance. With that, he hastily departed Tai Holy Land with the kneeling Gong Lin. Outside the hall, the disciples erupted in cheers. Way to go, Su Chuan. Su Chuan is invincible. Gong Lin's just a paper tiger. No match for Su Chuan. Su Chuan's swift victory over Gong Lin, forcing him to kneel and apologize, finally released the pent-up frustration in their hearts. Instantly, Su Chuan's reputation soared. After Luo Yunsheng and his disciple left, Holy Master Tai turned to Su Chuan with a smile. Su Chuan, you did exceptionally well today. You overcame the odds and restored honor to Tai Holy Land. The surrounding peak masters nodded in admiration, showering Su Chuan with praise. His own master, Situ Lin, was especially pleased, though he secretly regretted not discovering the full extent of Su Chuan's power. After all he did was knock Gong Lin down with a punch. His swordsmanship remained a mystery. Su Chuan said humbly, Holy Master, thank you for your praise. As a true disciple of the Holy Land, it's my duty to protect its reputation. Besides, I couldn't stand his behavior and had been itching for a fight. Holy Master Tai and the Peak Masters agreed that Su Chuan was a diamond in the rough, solidifying their support for the Holy Master's plan to make him a quasi-holy son. With such a holy son, the Tai Holy Land's continued strength and prosperity was all but guaranteed. They were ecstatic. Then, Holy Lord-Tai looked at Su Chuan and said with a smile, "I wonder what reward you want for this victory. Don't hold back, just say whatever you want." Hearing this, Su Chuan's eyes lit up. Holy Master Tai is an old and powerful man, and he must have many treasures in his hands. Now, he has the opportunity to get one of them. How can he not be excited? He just needs treasures now to lay a solid foundation and break through to the magical realm. I wonder if the Holy Master has something that can help me solidify my foundation. Other than that, I ask for nothing. Su Chuan said respectfully. Let me think about things that lay a solid foundation. Holy Lord Tai pondered for a moment. Subsequently, as if thinking of something, he took out a jade bottle. There is a drop of golden crow essence and blood in this, which I got when I was young. It is just suitable for your physique. Refining this thing, it will be no problem to break through the magical realm. As he said that, Holy Lord Tai handed the jade bottle in his hand to Su Sichuan, golden crow essence and blood. Hearing this, Su Chuan was stunned for a moment, but then he became ecstatic. The golden crow is a divine beast born in the sun. It has the strength of the reincarnation realm at birth, and the adult golden crow is in existence in the heavenly king realm. Its blood essence is a treasure among treasures. It has miraculous effects in laying a solid foundation in the lower three realms. However, it is said that it has disappeared long ago. Unexpectedly, there is still a drop in the hands of Holy Lord Tai, and his son's sacred body is very compatible with the golden crow essence and blood, and can maximize its effect. After refining this drop of golden crow essence and blood, he will definitely be able to create a perfect foundation and advance to the realm of magical power. This was an unexpected surprise. Thank you, Holy Master. Su Chuan bowed, accepting the golden crow blood essence. Holy Lord Tai smiled and nodded. Meanwhile, Yang Sheng, the disciple defeated by Gong Lin, stood by, listening to the Holy Master and fellow disciples praising Su Chuan. As he watched Su Chuan receive his reward, a strange sense of resentment welled up inside him. He'd never met Su Chuan before, but now, an inexplicable hatred simmered within him. Su Chuan had only been a true disciple for a fraction of the time he had, yet he was exponentially stronger. It infuriated him. Why? Why is he so strong? He took deep breaths, trying to quell his jealousy. His mood soured. Su Chuan sensed the hostility and frowned, scanning the crowd to find its source. His gaze landed on Yang Sheng, the fire spirit body disciple he'd heard so much about. A quick system scan revealed Yang Sheng's details. Name, Yang Sheng. Realm, Mortal Realm, Level 5. Talents, Invincible King, Gold, Unyielding, Gold, Fire Spirit Body, Purple, Strength from Adversity, Purple, Jealousy, White. Destiny, Wu Peshang Qiong Male Protagonist. Story, a wealthy man in the Great Wei Kingdom, discovered by Tai Holy Land elders to possess a rare fire spirit body. Accepted as a true disciple and leader of Xiang Peak. Later, defeated by Gong Lin of Yaoshan Sword Sect. Unwilling to accept defeat, he uses adversity to fuel his cultivation. Opportunity 1, finds a ring in the ancient golden palace containing a residual soul. Opportunity 2, claims the supreme bone in the golden ancient palace, granting him Emperor Senior Realm martial arts experience and inheritance. Opportunity 3, receives the inheritance from the master of the golden ancient palace. Su Chuan was floored by Yang Sheng's 2 gold and 2 purple destinies. He hadn't expected the resentful Yang Sheng to be so blessed. Moreover, he was the male protagonist of Wu Peshang Qiong, the most explicit protagonist he'd ever encountered. He was in a whole different league than Su Chen, the Luck Sun. His opportunities only confirmed it. I have to seize those opportunities. I don't care if you're the protagonist. If you dare to stand in my way, you're dead. A sharp glint appeared in Su Chuan's eyes. Chapter 060. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, let's clear out. Holy Lord Tai waved off the crowd. You're dismissed, disciple. Su Chuan ignored Yang Sheng, bowed again, and headed back. He needed to retreat, refine that drop of golden crow essence, build a rock-solid foundation, and finally hit that magical power level. Back in his Shenyang Peak cave, after making sure he wouldn't be disturbed, Chuan activated the cave's defenses. He felt good about refining the golden crow essence. With all the prep work done, Chuan sat down in the lotus position on his cushion. Soon, a faint red light started to glow around him. The world's energy surged toward him. He needed to be at his peak before refining the golden crow essence and blood. After lighting incense, Chuan took a deep breath and snapped his eyes open. He was ready. Without hesitating, Chuan summoned the jade bottle holding the golden crow's essence from his storage ring. He poured the essence and blood into his palm. The moment it left the bottle, a sharp cry echoed in the cave. A golden crow appeared, radiating immense pressure. Chuan felt his body tense under the weight of it, eyes locked on the drop in his hand. Chuan's eyes flashed gold. That's intense. So this is golden crow essence. This bird had to be stronger than anything in the heavenly realm. Just a drop of this is hitting me hard. Chuan muttered. He could feel the raw power contained within that drop of blood. It scared him, but to build a perfect foundation, he gritted his teeth and swallowed the golden crow essence in one gulp. Boom. Even prepared as he was, the energy detonated inside him. It surged like a torrent of molten fire through his limbs and bones, raging through his body. Chuan was thrown violently, feeling like he was burning from the inside out, scorching muscles, bone, and flesh. Pain, excruciating pain, slammed into his mind. It felt like his great sun physique transforming into the holy sun body all over again. He thought he was ready for this kind of pain, but he'd underestimated how the golden crow essence would rage inside him. Chuan started running Xianyang Ju, trying to refine the energy and reinforce himself. The pain eased slightly. Chuan redoubled his efforts, speeding up Xianyang Ju. You want to get stronger, you gotta pay the price. This pain is nothing, bring it on. Feeling Xianyang Ju working its magic, Chuan yelled, a fierce light in his eyes. Then, he closed his eyes, stopped trying to control the golden crow essence, and let its energy loose. He endured the pain, letting Xianyang Ju do its work, fortifying him with the energy. His flesh, bones, and meridians were constantly being tempered and strengthened. He could see the changes, and his whole body glowed with a holy light. I didn't expect refining the golden crow blood to cause such a huge change. Chuan was surprised. The energy from the golden crow essence had even stirred the latent sun power within him that wasn't fully refined. The two forces started to merge with Chuan. His foundation was getting stronger. His realm might be the same, but if his old foundation could only carry him to the heavenly realm, now he could easily reach the heavenly king realm. Maybe even the emperor senior realm wasn't out of reach. He was born with a sun-sacred body after all, and was at a disadvantage, but if he fully absorbed the golden crow essence, he'd be on equal footing with anyone. Chuan was lost to refining the essence. A month later, Chuan snapped his eyes open, a mesmerizing light burning in them. He had completely refined the drop of golden crow essence. His foundation was unshakable, and he'd even awakened another talent of the sun-sacred body, true sun fire. With a thought, a golden flame sprang to life on Chuan's fingertip. The cave seemed to ignite with the appearance of the flame, and the air crackled. Just like the legends, real sun fire. Chuan was thrilled. He'd learned another attack. True sun fire was incredibly powerful. If he could just find the right fire control technique, he could truly unleash it. Next up, breaking through to the supernatural realm for good. He closed his eyes again and pulled out the Yuan stone. Chuan started absorbing energy like crazy. The surrounding world's energy rushed into him. Boom. An hour later, a thunderous sound came from Chuan. Rays of light erupted from his body, flashing constantly, making him almost pure light. I finally broke through to the first level of the magical power realm. Chuan couldn't hide his excitement. Years of training, and he finally made it. He'd reached the middle 3 realms of the 9 martial arts realms. A new beginning. And a perfect breakthrough with a solid foundation. Even though he was only at the first level, he dared say that no one in the magical power realm could stand against him. That's how confident he was. Breaking through had also awakened his innate magical power. 100-fold increase. Not like the talents inherited from the golden crow rainbow transformation technique and the true fire of the sun. His innate magical power came when he reached the magical realm. Chuan could instantly boost his strength 100-fold. Incredibly powerful, but, given his current cultivation, using it meant he couldn't use it again for 2 weeks, otherwise, it would hurt him, but that innate magical power still thrilled him. He had another way to survive. Who would expect to unleash 100-fold strength? As Chuan reveled in this, a system message popped up: "Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the magical realm. You have received a primary fate draw. Do you want to draw it immediately?" Chuan's eyes lit up even more. A primary life draw after breaking through. "Draw it now." Immediately, Chuan said, "The fate is being drawn, please wait." Chuan eagerly waited for this draw. Who could ever have too many fates? Extraction completed. Congratulations on getting the red destiny peerless out of the world.